Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Thank you for liking and for subscribing. Remember to subscribe if you haven't. If you have not subscribed, you are wrong. So today we are talking about what are we talking about?
Yeah, it's me you're asking. Today what are we talking about? Pretty much today we are it's just gist pretty much about
Gist.
Schooling in the UK or in Canada. Which one what are the pros and cons? Which one is preferable?
Which one should you do? Although ultimately the decision rests with you.
Obviously.
But what are the pros and cons? Because when people want to jackpot, they typically have there are two major countries that people jackpot nowadays: UK, Canada.
Yeah, the percentage that goes to other countries is not as much as the ones coming to this country.
Exactly.
So
there was a time USA used to be top of the list, but I think problem with constant denial and no appointments and all those things.
I guess those are the
made
things
people move to other countries,
impacting the US. Like people just tell you, they are going to Yankee, for school and all that.
Yankee discussion has even reduced if you think of it.
Yes, it does. I don't really hear people say, Yankee. Before, I growing up that time, Yankee, everybody, Yankee this, Yankee that. Well,
yeah.
Imagine this sun that is still shining at this time.
What's even the time? The time is probably 8
p.m. Anyway, so back to our discussion.
Yep.
So, schooling in the UK, and what are the pros and cons now of let's say you are there now, you want to go and school, and then you are deciding where should you go, Canada or the United Kingdom. What are those things for you to weigh, or what are those things that would influence your decision? I think ultimately it boils down to your goal, the actual reason why you are jackpotting.
Yeah.
Right? Are they twins?
They are.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah, so identical. Thank you.
Okay. So that person just passed it. So
yeah, identical dogs, and I'm like, oh my god, this is interesting, right? Because I was just looking at them like, these dogs, they look very, very identical. Identical twins. And I asked the guy, and he's like, yeah, they are twins. Anyway, that's cool. It's nice to see.
So back to what we were talking about. Now it depends on your motive, like she was saying. If you were going to go study and return to your country, and that's not a problem, you could do either one depending on other things we are going to discuss. But one of the pros we'll just do like pros and cons really. So one of the pros for you to study in the UK is that the visa processing timeline is faster. And if they tell you they will do it in three weeks, which is the typical timeline, they will do it in 3 weeks, right? For Canada, you cannot say the same. Canada. See,
you can't say the same.
I know people that have applied for for study visa. Visa. 1 year, they didn't get any response.
No show.
1 year. In fact, over 1 year. So the pro for UK surely 3 weeks, they will get back in 3 weeks. Either they would give you the visa or not, you know your fate in 3 weeks.
Yeah, so I think that's actually one of the pros with the UK.
Yep.
And now on the other side, one of the advantage with Canada is that, which you may not necessarily get with the UK, or maybe you will get it, but it is difficult. The advantage with Canada is that once you eventually get the visa, right, the study visa, it is very easy to convert from your study visa to become a permanent resident. It is easy, and I mean you can get this done within the space of 2 years. If you get your post-study work permit of 2 years, you can easily make that transition in 2 years.
Absolutely.
But we cannot say the same for the United Kingdom. I don't know how long it takes to settle down in the UK.
Yeah, but it takes a very long time, I said probably you have someone who gives you, who sponsors you. You apply for a job and they give you the work permit and they sponsor you, but it's not straightforward.
Yeah, it's not straightforward.
It's not in your hands, you know.
And again, like at least from the experience that from people that we know that have gone through this,
yep.
If you are going to use that route, it is not very easy to get a job.
It isn't,
as
right?
a student
it
in the UK.
A job that will sponsor you.
That will sponsor you. It's not very easy to get.
Yeah.
You know, and then another thing which I have now recently discovered is that, you know, they always say in the UK, before you can get your stay, you need to have been there for 5 years, at least 5 years. Now, I also heard that the timing, you know, let's say you're studying there for 2 years, that 2 years does not count towards the 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
I learned that recently too, and I was shocked. Like, so the 2 years doesn't
you are just there.
count towards the 5 years. So after you finish school, then your 5 years starts counting.
And you know, and that is only if after that school now you've gotten a job that will sponsor you. Otherwise, if you don't get a job that will sponsor you after your postgraduate work permit, you need to now go back home.
Yeah, or you enroll in another
course.
You know,
and
that's it. So you have to keep on spending money.
Yeah,
that's something to consider, you know.
Something to come. Meanwhile, in Canada, on the other hand, you can easily transition from being a student to, you know, becoming a permanent resident, and that's the end of your wahala in terms of
trying to stay.
You just become a permanent resident, which is almost equivalent to being a citizen, except for the fact that you cannot do what you cannot vote.
Yeah.
So that's something to also consider.
Then another thing to consider if you are thinking about UK versus Canada is for the UK, right? The proof of funds that they will ask you for, the period is not as long as that of Canada's zone. So UK zone, if I'm not correct or right, I'll put the right information on the screen. For UK, you do 3 months, you know, bank statements, right? But Canada's one is longer than that. So, you know, it's not easy to say, and this is a lot of money. Right now that the Naira is very bad, and the value is...
Naira is bad.
It's bad. Naira is bad.
Well,
anyway, so now that, you know, the exchange rate is very somehow. So that's another thing to consider. So essentially, to apply for Canada's study visa can be a bit more challenging than to apply for the UK study visa.
Based on the proof of funds that is required.
Yeah, based on proof of funds that is
now,
required.
Another thing again that you have to consider when you are coming to study in this country is that now in the UK, you need to pay for your insurance, your IHS.
Yep.
Also in Canada, insurance is not covered for students. You also need to pay. However, the amount you need to pay in the UK is really high, and they have just recently increased how much you need to pay. That value is on the high side versus what you need to pay for as a student in Canada. So that's also something else that, you know, you need to consider. And bearing in mind that in the UK, you will keep paying this IHS fee until you get your permanent status. And recall that your permanent status you cannot get until you have spent 5 years in Canada. In the UK. On the other hand, in Canada, you pay for your insurance for, let's say, give or take. Let's say your course is 2 years, and maybe additional 1 year or 2 years or thereabout. Let us say maybe 4 years before you can now become a PR. If you work, you know, towards that, you get your PR and that's it. So that's also something else that you also need to consider.
And another thing that you should consider, well, this one goes without saying, is exchange rate in terms of pounds being stronger than Canadian dollar, right? The amount you would need to go to school in the UK
is far more.
School fees, acceptance fee, then IHS, everything. When you convert it to Naira, it choke.
Yeah, it's far more.
It's far more than what you would need for
CAD.
For CAD. And the CAD, that's Canadian dollar. So that's another thing to consider.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes if you feel like, you know, I can't just stay in this country anymore, I need to, I think overall, if you feel man, I need to just jackpot, like sharp.
Then UK might be your best option.
Then you know the funniest thing, from experience and people we've seen, right?
Yeah.
If you arrange your documents properly, and provide everything they've asked you to provide in the UK, and you apply, they would likely give you that visa.
Yeah.
But in Canada, even when you provide everything they ask you to provide, and you crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's, sometimes they will still not give you the visa. And you're like, what do you guys want? You get
right.
That's another thing to consider. So if you want something that is in quotes sure and fast, UK.
Yeah.
If you want something that
give or take 50-50,
but you have a chance of staying back when you get there, Canada. So honestly,
yeah, so all those things just comes with their baggage, right? Depending on which one you want. The sure one, you go for UK, it comes with this baggage. The cost is more, no doubt. But in Canada, the cost is not as much as the UK, but it's a 50-50% chance that they will give you that visa.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you know, the decision is yours ultimately. But from experience, those are like the things that we've seen. Now, personally for me, I'd say that in the long run, I would always tell people that, you know, the better option is coming to Canada, right? But that's, again, subject to all of these things that we've discussed.
Yeah, it just depends on it.
You know.
I think it just depends. Because
but in the long run, I think the better option is coming here, especially if the goal is, you know, to stay back. It is easier for you to stay back here than in the UK. Yeah, so like I always say, it's a better option to actually come to Canada, especially if you're looking to stay back. However, if it is just, you know, get the education and go back home so that you don't waste money or anything like that, then maybe UK might be a better option for you. Again, it just depends on your goals and aspirations in life.
Exactly, and it depends on how much you have, the stage where you are at, and stuff like that.
And because again, I always tell people, like, if you can afford it, you can put in admission into
both places. But that's a lot of money.
That means you can afford it.
That's a whole lot of money. Because in fact, why some people don't do Canada is because they'll be like, I can't spend this much and still be having a 50-50 chance of being selected, you know.
So these are the things. But again, you've seen people that, you know, have gone to the UK, study, and then they are crossing from the UK after doing their school, then they are crossing to Canada. That's also an option for you know, somebody who at that point, you know, you've gotten a short visa, study UK, but you've done that one, and then
it's not easy to cross because, you know, they are both good, very good countries. So when you get there, there's this thing that happens with human beings. You're like, oh, this is not bad. Well, let me just look for another way to stay.
I know that it's not easy to cross again because we are humans. I know you've established a life in this place, and it's not just easy to just pack up their life and move somewhere else. But again, people have done it, and it's probably because they weighed their options and they feel like maybe it's better. Stability is easier to achieve in Canada. Maybe it pays me to just, you know, cross. While there are some people that have also decided that, you know what, I'm already in the UK, I cannot be moving, let me just stay here and build my life. Both options are good, both options are perfect, depending on, you know, what you want.
Okay, so that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe. Please remember to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay?
They say 3 times. They said it 3 times. Subscribe. We are trying to get to what number now?
5,000.
5,000. So guys, please, we need your help. We can't do it without you.
After 5,000, 10,000, 10,000, 50,000, 50,000, 100,000, 100,000, 500, 500, 1 million. 1 million, 2 million, 2 million. Like that, you know. So see you in our next video.
Bye.